we can easily connect with other people when we, hello. So here I am on the precipice of 2026. It's New Year's Eve. I am out in the snow here in Michigan, Metro Detroit area, getting some last minute things so that we are all ready to be together tomorrow when most stuff is closed around here in Michigan, in America. There will be a few lone restaurants and places that will be open to kind of get that business. But this is going to be my first post. I've been thinking about doing this, and here I am. Why am I here? And who am I? You might not even care about that. If you're like me, you just really want some inspiration. You want inspiration and information. And that really is my goal. I really wanted to be sure that I thought I could contribute to the platform. And what I've come to understand now, because I'm in a whole new situation. I raised 3 children, 3 boys, and they're all gone off to college now, just as of the last 6 months. And my mom, who raised me, a single parent after she divorced, passed away within a week of my youngest son graduating after an illness that came out of the blue. My mom was one of those spry 82-year-olds, and this illness hit her. And we had that year together where she lived with me, and it was all of this onslaught of medical treatments, and I was her primary caregiver. And I'm fortunate because, and I'll get more into this, but I run my own business, which allows me some time flexibility. So I was able to welcome my mom immediately into my home after she was hospitalized for 15 days. Again, this is all, she was out to lunch and just passed out. And she was out to lunch with a girlfriend, passed out. We learned she had this rare diagnosis, and I can get into more of that later. And then my son, the next day after my mom passed away, after a year, and I'll get into more of this later, of her living with me and me having to balance and organize and take care of and maintain and be in it all emotionally. The next day was my son's prom. And then a week later he graduated. And then 2 weeks later he had to leave for college because of sports commitments. So just everything changed so drastically, so quickly. And I realized how much of the last, say, 25, 26 years of my life I dedicated to what I really wanted to do, which was be in service to my family. And that's what felt right. That's what intuitively was drawing me. And, that's another conversation I want to get into, because I think there are women who sometimes struggle with that choice to be present with their family, because they're very drawn to careers, whether that's just, for financial commitments that need to be maintained for their family, or it's just kind of society expecting, like, what do you do kind of conversation, and kind of saying you're a homemaker or you're a stay-at-home mom isn't, for a while, a less than respected role. And so I want to get more into that. We gonna get into it. I have been thinking about doing this. And then the more I talk to people, because now that I'm at this age and stage, I'm finding there are more people that are younger than me that I find myself, engaging with. Of course, I still have my peer group, which is pretty well developed. But I find that when I walk away from some of these conversations, because I literally have advice when they're open to it, and sometimes they're soliciting my advice and sometimes it's unsolicited, but I just feel like, hey, I have information in this area, let me share it with you. And then when they walk away, they often are like, wow, you should do a podcast. And because my mom was an educator, and my mom was that educator who, her students loved her. When I tell you, the students who are still were in her life right to the very end, that were, at her funeral, became like her children. And, she met them as teenagers, and they're grandparents now. And my mom was still very close to them, and they loved her. And because my mom was the type of educator who understood connection, she cared, and she cared about her community, and she knew that these young people were in her community, and if there were gaps in their home life and otherwise, she saw into them and said, hey, let me tell you what you missing about yourself. You can do this, you can do that, you can do it. And maybe that kind of is genetically been passed on, but also what I now know again in this new phase is I know that the early imprint that my mom left on me, it's just like a subconscious thing that I pick up on, I was imprinted by, is the way she connected with the world was with love. But now my mom also was very hilarious. She had a wicked humor. This comes from the side of my family on her father's side. And I mean, so while she was very pointed in her affection and her connections, and she was very community minded, she also was careful about, boundaries. So, and I think I tend to be that way too. And so why do I want to do this? I want to share information that I think might inspire people. It might inspire you to know that, A, you're not alone, and you hear that all the time. But I do find that when we open up more, and my children will tease me like, Ma, everywhere we go, it's like, you can just talk to everybody. It's like, I realize now, as I was saying, as I'm in this part of my life, the early imprint of my mom connecting is a part of me. And so I too want to connect, and I too want to give. And because I find that just in my travels, as I'm going grocery shopping, running through Marshall's, TJ Maxx, whatever it is, going to classes, that I find that when we really tap into our humanity is a broader term, but just our humanness, our human experience. And my children will tease me and say, yes, like, Ma, you can talk to anybody, but it's because we're all out here trying to just get on with life. And so this is going to be about information. I really believe in information. I'm a research person. I also believe in science, when things have been tested and proven. And I pay strict attention to that. I really am into human behavior. After my own therapy for so many years, I have learned the power of introspection. But then I want to, I get into the fun. So I love fashion, and but I have decorated my home, and I have renovated an older home. And so that was fun because I'm really into fabrics and stuff. So I'll get into all that stuff. So my point is, I'm hoping that this will be a space where we can just kind of share, and you can feel inspired and kind of rekindle your energy, or I can add to your energy. And then if there's certain things you want me to talk about, because this age and stage brings on a lot of stuff. Body changes, your perspective, your new cadence with your family in terms of schedule, because they're no longer under roof, your children, taking care of aging parents. All of these things become spaces where we need support and we need information. And so that's going to be my goal. And I want to be creative because I love being creative with it. We go. Because I just think that, that's the spicy part. But so I want to share stuff. I always get asked about skincare, and I do. I've done a lot of research, tried a lot of products, and I really do have what I think is a pretty great regimen, because, as you getting, the calendar pages just be turning and flipping. And in that case, I absolutely needed to really be more cognizant of it. So I wanted to make this initial video. So here we are. Happy New Year. This is going to be it, 2026. Let's do this doggone thing. And let me say, what's something I could say that I would want to recommend right away? You know what, if I were to talk about skincare, check out that brand. Oh my God, Clean Slate. When I tell you it's the bomb cleanser, among other products. And so what I'm going to do is, when I post this, I will put that in the caption, so I'm kind of learning as we go. But let's do this. I'm glad you're here. All right.